I think it's safe to say we didn't know what to expect with the Silent Hill 2 remake. With the stigma behind remakes lately and how people will trash them if even a character's outfit is slightly different, and it being handed off to the development team notoriously known for the baby jump scare, I think it's safe to say a lot of people were more than a little worried. But after playing it to completion, I gotta say, I think they kind of knocked it out of the park with just a few grievances. This is a good remake. Maybe not perfect, but certainly not deserving of the strange amount of hate it's getting from people who I suspect didn't even play the game. Let's go over it. Hi there, I'm Eriku, your local horror game playing foxy VTuber, here with another review. I just finished playing Silent Hill 2 on stream, and boy do I got a lot to say. So let's get into it, shall we? For those who may not know, Silent Hill 2, despite being a sequel, is a self-contained story starring James Sunderland. James heads into the town of Silent Hill after receiving an odd letter from his wife to meet him there. But the strange thing is, his wife has been dead for 3 years, according to him. But feeling without much purpose in life since her passing, he can't help but head into the eerie town to investigate, despite many warnings and red flags.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary. My wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. So then why am I looking for her?
I'll get into some spoiler thoughts later. Until then, I'm not going to spoil much past that, because Silent Hill 2 is one of those games where the story has a good bit of mystery behind it, and it's best experienced yourself. Story-wise, this remake is very faithful though, with little changes to the actual plot, so I think it's a fine way to experience this tale. Immediately upon starting and throughout the whole experience, I have to say the atmosphere in this game is absolutely immaculate. Bloober Team understood the assignment and they really knocked it out of the park. This is what I always expected an HD Silent Hill to look like. It's so good, and the ambience. Just listen to it. Something else I'd like to add real quick is the environments and the levels are just very well done, but also incredibly easy to get lost in. I love how they implemented the map. You just pull it out, and James will even scribble on it, just like in the original. I would find myself opening the map every 10 seconds, just desperately trying to figure out where I hadn't been yet or where I needed to go. He'll even put puzzle solutions on it sometimes. It is so helpful. Aside from that, another big change is the combat. Anyone you ask who played the original game, and I do mean anyone, will tell you that combat was the weakest point. Enemies were pretty non-threatening, especially with the surplus of resources and how easily they got stun-locked. This isn't the case anymore, though I still don't think it's great, and there's so many enemies now that it will start to feel repetitive for many, I fear. It is at least an improvement, and the boss fights are very well done for the most part. There's a plethora of new puzzles as well, and a lot of them. Some actually got me stuck for a decent amount of time on normal difficulty, but I didn't need to look up the answers for any but one in the hospital that felt a bit obtuse. My chat told me the answer there after I looked at it like this for a good 20 minutes. The characters have also mostly had glow-ups across the board. That I'll get more into in my spoiler section, but so many of them have had huge improvements in their look and performances. Though the awkward performances in the original can be argued to be a bit of the charm, I really like how things were executed here for the most part. I also enjoy the constant references to the original game, and how you can actually explore a lot of optional areas and buildings all over the place. There's usually just a health drink or maybe some ammo to reward your curiosity. The fact they modeled and designed entire buildings that most players will probably miss, just there for you to explore, really shows a lot of love by the developers. Now on to my less favorable thoughts. The biggest problem this game has is performance. There was definitely a price to pay for it being so gorgeous and ambitious with its graphics. I initially tried on the PC version, and it ran so poorly, especially when I tried to stream, that this is the first time I have ever had to refund a game due to how it ran and performed. I rebought it on PS5 after getting the refund, and it still had issues. Not nearly as bad or as frequent, mind you. It was more than playable, but there were times the frame rate would completely tank, and it even crashed a couple times. Oh, golly. Give me that. What? The game just crashed on PS5. Oh, what? Well, I've never had this happen on a PS5 game before. Okay, good thing we just saved. You see that screen a lot? PS5 tax, oh my god. Some optimization patches would be a good idea, I think. We'll see if that happens. There's also some odd glitches that can happen in the game, it seems. I saw some people reporting enemies were hitting them through walls and things like that, though I never had that happen. I did have one odd glitch when I died one time, though. It's kind of creepy, and I'm not even sure if it's a glitch or not. What do you think? Something else about the combat is that it feels pretty good when you're fighting something one-on-one, but the moment a second enemy shows up, it starts to feel clunky. Still not as clunky as the OG, but multi-target combat felt like an afterthought, and it could quickly turn chaotic and hard to manage in these situations. And finally, and my biggest complaint with this remake, is it is gameplay padded to hell. To the point I would call it bloated. Every area has been stretched out to take an extra hour, sometimes 2 hours, compared to the original, with very few additional story sequences to help the pacing. I can get they may have been scared to alter the story at all, but these stretched out gameplay portions really hurt the pacing, I feel. Going to get into some spoiler thoughts now. If you haven't played either version of Silent Hill 2, feel free to leave the video here, or skip to this time. So, continued from the pacing issues point, the biggest example of this I can think of is Pyramid Head. In the original game, he felt ever present. Even if he wasn't actively hunting you, you'd still see him in places. They didn't add any new appearances for him, and even removed 1 or 2 minor ones, unless I missed them, so it now feels like you barely see him. It extends to the side characters too, to a lesser extent. The original game was paced really well, with 30 minutes to an hour between scenes with each character if you were actively progressing. Now it's 2 to 3 hours before you see a certain character again, sometimes even longer, and it just makes the pacing of the story really slow. Now, more positive on the characters, Angela and Eddie are so much better. Other performances had some small things here and there that I thought were better in the original.
James!
Mary! Oh. Maria, I thought... Sorry. Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway?
As you can probably tell, this scene was just kind of odd. But I think it was an outlier because every other line Maria delivered was just pure gold.
I'm not your Mary.
So there will probably be preference between this and the original with some characters. But I really struggle to think of any reason someone would prefer the original Angela or Eddie other than maybe pizza memes. The voice actors behind these two did such an amazing job. If you have a preference for these characters in the original, maybe let me know in the comments why. Just don't be weird about it, I beg. Eddie especially went from the silly pizza guy to having a feeling of dread. And oh god, I've known people like this. And it is terrifying. I enjoyed too how much expectations get circumvented in the gameplay. You'll do something similar or obtain similar items like in the original, but use them in a completely different way. Or when you find a solution, something different will happen entirely. Some annoying segments from the original have also been redone, like the very awkward Pyramid Head chase at the end of the hospital. So now it's awkward in a different way. There's also new variants of enemies that weren't in the original at all, like spider-like mannequins that reminded me of the Silent Hill movie a bit, and spitters that explode when they die, so you have to watch out. Nurses are also very formidable now, easily able to wallop you if you aren't up to par with your dodging. Mandarins, the enemies that hang under grates and can be mostly ignored in the original Silent Hill 2, got reworked the most though, and are super annoying. They roar to stun you and have a very difficult to dodge tentacle attack, and you even fight them directly a couple times. In my opinion, these enemies were just plain unfun to deal with, every time they showed up, and even seemed to heal if you didn't hit their arms enough times in a row. Luckily it was only a few times, but gosh, I hated these things. Funnily enough though, I think my favorite area was the underground labyrinth, where these things are most present anyway. This area got such a glow up, especially the abstract daddy fight. It wasn't very challenging, but the way it simulated the feeling of being a child running away from an angry parent down these long hallways, and the little hidey hole in the closet, man, it got to me. Definitely the best remake edition, I think. I gotta say though, I was pretty disappointed that you can't keep the giant knife weapon anymore. I get it was always kind of a joke weapon, but it was funny. I would have liked to be able to use it as more than a puzzle solution. And with how you replace your piece of wood with the pipe after the apartments, I kept thinking there would be another melee weapon upgrade of some kind, but it never came, which I thought was pretty strange. Even if it was just a better pipe or something, it would have been nice to have more weapon progression. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the remake as best as I could summarize them. What did you think of the Silent Hill 2 remake? Did it meet your expectations or are you disappointed? I think this is definitely the best thing Bloober made. It's clear they learned from their past projects, and I can't wait to see what they come up with next. This really does feel like the best case scenario we could have gotten from a Silent Hill 2 remake. Just a couple things I would have preferred to be done differently. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, remember to like and subscribe. You can also check out my other videos here, or my stream where I play lots of different horror games and get into all sorts of antics. I'd love to hear from you. Really feels like all I'm playing and reviewing lately is remakes and remasters. We sure have gotten a lot of those lately. But my next one should be something new, so look forward to it. For now, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.